This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know. Some rockstar dads who started a show. So here's the next episode.
Welcome to the Rockstar Dad Show. Man, we're really, we've been on a good stream of not having to do reruns.
You say that, but we did one last week, didn't we?
No, we ended up doing it. I thought we ended up figuring it out. We had Billy Martin last week.
I don't know. What day is today? I don't know.
We're doing so many episodes. You don't even know what's going on. Yeah, if you missed the Good Charlotte Billy Martin episode, that's our second member of Good Charlotte. We've had 2 members of Good Charlotte. We've had 2 members of Anthrax. We've had 2 members of Story of the Year. Goodness gracious. Is there nothing we can't do in this show?
We're on a roll. We're not rerunning and we got a bunch of cool friends.
Yeah, we're killing it right now. Anyway, welcome to the program. If you're new, I am Jaret and that is Gary. We're from the band Bowling for Soup, and this is a radio show and a podcast where we talk about being dads or, kind of whatever the heck else we want to talk about. Hadn't had to be a dad all week, really. I went on a dude's trip, and before that I had a show. So I've had like a week off of like dad stuff.
I saw pictures of you fishing on your dude's trip.
I went fishing. We caught one really small little tiny sun perch after fishing for 2 days. But, when I say days, a few hours here, a few hours there. But there's something about that, man. There's something when you don't go when you don't go into nature, you don't go outside a whole lot. It's sort of like whenever we, take the time to go play golf, right? There's just something about that whole like resetting and just being outside and, seeing deer and, it really is nice. It's funny. Linus is obviously from LA and talking about Linus of Hollywood. I guess if there's a 5th member of our band, he would be it. He produces all of our stuff and co-writes a lot of it, and just all around.
How did he think about Oklahoma and the Broken Bow area?
Well, first of all, it was really funny because I had got the house and everything, and then, I said, okay, we're gonna go to Broken Bow and yada. I guess I didn't tell him that it was in Oklahoma. And so he honestly did not know we were going to Oklahoma until we crossed the border, which is like well into the trip. Like you're all ready to pass Paris, Texas. You're 2.5 hours, into the drive. And he was
you're 2.5 hours into the drive, but really an hour that is just getting the crap out of Dallas.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's definitely. Well, no, not for me, man. I mean, it's really weird. Like I come out of my house and go to Preston, and that road is literally the road that goes there. So
you missed the whole 380 mess going that way.
That's right. Yeah, I did.
We've booked a whole bunch of trips to Broken Bow, and it's one of my favorite places to go on that kind of trip. It's exactly what you're saying. It's just kind of low key. You get away. You stop checking your phone all the time.
Yeah,
and you just kind of decompress. But I've booked all of the trips that we've done, and we've always gone for like family trips. So you need kind of a big cabin. Just the 2 of you guys, did y'all get like a nice romantic little bungalow, or what'd you do?
Well, that was the thing, is he was just blown away by. So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, there's a small little town called Broken Bow, Oklahoma. And all it is a strip of a few touristy things, and then hundreds or thousands of these immaculate cabins that you just rent and you go to just get away. But like when I say cabins, like some of them are super modern, but most of them have like 6 bedrooms, as you say, and all with bunk beds or king size beds or whatever. So you can do, me and Casey went one year with my sisters, and that was 4 families, so and all in one house. So no, this was it basically was two bedrooms, but both like had a king size bed, TV, like what would be considered the owner's bathroom.
Yeah.
And then there's upstairs that we never went up there, but I guess it had like bunk beds and a whole bathroom up there too. So it'd be great for like 2 couples to go. But the reason why I picked it was it had a boardwalk that went all the way out to this pond like just a private fishing area. And so at which we stood for days and there was no fish. But no, we had a great time. And he was blown away just by like how nice these things are. Like all of them are like this, but it had a pool table, a ping pong table, 2 TVs outside, a hot tub, a huge TV in every room, and all of the stuff worked.
It's crazy how nice it is here because, I mean, it's this tiny little town, like you said. I mean,
yeah.
The town probably only has a couple of thousand, 3,000-4,000 people that actually live there.
Yeah.
But then on the weekends and holidays, you know, there's probably 10,000 people from Dallas and Oklahoma City and all around coming to stay here. But the cabins are like amazing. And we've gone there and, like I said, fallen in love with it. But then whenever we go somewhere else and look at Airbnbs or VRBOs or whatever, we're like,
yeah,
these places suck, man. These are dumps compared to what we do in Broken Bow.
It's so crazy. He was like, well, I mean, honestly, like sold right when we got there. He was like, oh my God. So we were talking about, you know, getting Scott and you and Dave and, you know, and doing like a full on dudes trip, you know, out there, which we talk about doing in Bowling for Soup all the time. Every year I bring it up. And every year, Chris Burney just takes a wrench and throws it right down the center of it, like a striking bowling.
Yeah. Maybe we might have to do the thing like we do this with our family. You know, whenever we were growing up, my grandparents took like aunts and uncles and cousins, and they would take everybody on this nice trip, right? And part of his reason for doing that is like it's going to keep the family together. It's going to keep everyone's relationships as the kids grow older and move away. It's like it keeps the family tight, which was awesome. And he was exactly right. Because after he passed away and we stopped doing that, you know, I haven't seen certain aunts and uncles for years. Still stay in touch with them, text message, whatever, but we haven't gone on the vacations and seen each other. I lost my train of thought on what I was getting at right there.
You were getting at basically, I was talking about the Bowling for Soup trip and you said,
oh yeah. So what we do with our family now, because it's not like a organized group trip, is now basically everyone, when they go on a vacation, they go, hey, we're going to this year, who wants to join us? But it's like you're just gonna book it and who can come. And we may need to do that for Chris because we talk all the time and then he throws the wrench in it. We may just need to go, we're doing it. Come along if you like.
Now, to the listener who loves Chris Burney, we love Chris Burney too. And we're not saying that he doesn't want to go do something. He just doesn't ever want to go do what everybody else wants to do. So, and it just derails the conversation. So it'll be like, you know, hey, we should all go to Broken Bow and do a fishing trip. And he'll be like, no, let's go over here. And then the whole thing just falls apart. And it happens every fucking year. I mean, every single year. We have this, you know, a text thread where like a bunch of the band and old crew guys and new crew, I mean, you know, everybody's on it, right? Most everybody. And it's just, you know, it's one of those things where it's just like, he just, you know, he doesn't like what we watch on TV either.
Yeah, it'll get to like, you know, 12 people are all saying, yeah, this weekend works. We should totally do it. You know what? I think we should go somewhere else in a different week instead. And it's like, fuck this.
Oh, man, that does it. But yeah, man, we had a great time. And as I was saying, you know, I don't really get out into you know, I don't really go do a lot of stuff that isn't work or family. And so aside from playing golf with you a few times a year but it was really nice. We had a great time. We wrote a song and we hung out, and Crappy Records is coming back, and it was a very, very productive and nice little trip.
Did you guys do some drinking while you're up there?
You know what? We drank a little bit the first day, and then the second day I did the thing where like I would crack a beer in the afternoon, and by the time I would eat dinner, I was just like, okay, yeah, well, I guess I'm done. Yeah. Like in bed, like at a reasonable time. So, not like what I thought we were going to do, and definitely not like what I would have done historically. So I don't know if that was just the whole like using the time to catch up and all of that, or if it was or I'm just getting old. I don't know. You know? Well, I like to think that it's not the latter, but you know, who knows?
Like I said, we just went up there the week right before you went, And what we normally do to not travel with so much stuff is, Anik brings 17 suitcases and the car's full right then. But whenever we get there, we unload and then like run to the grocery store and stock up for the weekend and stuff. And we always hit a liquor store. There's just this tiny little liquor store up there, right? Mm-hmm. So this time, whenever we hit the liquor store, I was leaving. I bought the stuff that we needed and I was leaving, and I saw in the corner of the place this like this cabinet that had a really, really difficult bourbon to find. And you know me and my bourbons, I like them. Sure. And so I was like, whoa. I went and asked the guy, I was like, hey, is that on hold for somebody? Because you can't find this shit anywhere, right? And he's like, no, you can, it's not on hold. You can get it if you want. I'm like, oh my God, how much is it? And the price he told me just caused me to laugh at him and walk away.
Oh,
it's
really?
It's a $90 bottle. If he would have said 150, 200, I would have bought it. He said it was $600, and I just laughed.
What?
Yeah. Well, he's not trying to sell it. He's trying to be cool and have it.
Oh, okay. Well, that, and let's face it, like a bunch of money comes through there, and
sure.
And somebody, it's like, who knows? He hits you or Gary Price on the right day.
Yeah.
Y'all are gonna buy that shit. Oh, sorry. I yawned and I thought you were gonna pick it up there, but we just totally it just went dead silent. Which liquor store do you go to? Do you know what it's called? Is there a huge cat there?
Yeah, it's the one that tries to walk in the door whenever you get there.
No. We went at the one that we stopped at, just had this enormous cat, and it just sat at the front and and literally did not move. You had to walk around it, and it stayed right there, and it just had this little sourpuss look on its face.
I don't know.
I put it on my
There's a little cat that's trying to get in, and it's like, I don't know if you're supposed to get in or not. So like, I didn't let it in.
Oh, yeah. It's on my TikTok, which, by the way, we are now on TikTok. So you guys, if you're TikToking, go follow Rockstar Dad Show. We got a lot of really, really cool stuff coming up. We will be starting to release video in the coming weeks. We have all new graphics coming out, all new merch. It's an exciting time here at the Rockstar Dad Show, both for our podcast listeners and for our radio listeners. So y'all make sure that you new website. Did I say that? New website.
Everything's shiny and new.
It's going to be great. And a lot of really, really, although I do feel like our last several guests were like, we're setting the bar really high. I will say that we do have some amazing guests coming up. So speaking of guests coming up, here coming up later in the program, Jason Harrell from the Jaret Reddick band is going to be here. The story of how he got in my band is hilarious. He is this really, really amazing dude, an amazing musician, and has probably seen Bowling for Soup like 100 times, and I didn't know that. So,
I don't think you can just say the story how he joined your band is amazing and then not tell the story.
Well, I was going to wait till he got here.
Okay, you're going to let him tell the story? Or
I'm going to tell it, but I'm going to tell it with him here.
All right. Man, the anticipation is killing me.
Well, it'll keep everybody listening. All right, but let's do this. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll do a little bit more catching up. And later on, like I said, Jason Harrell, his youngest, Gary, is a cancer survivor. And that's something that I honestly can't imagine. So we're going to talk about going through that. He has a really awesome charity event coming up that is, people are going to get together and run. They're just going to run. And apparently you can raise money doing that, which, you know what? You can raise money doing anything.
The other day, one of our neighbors is a runner. And when I say he's a runner, I mean, like he gets out and runs around all over the place, Right, he just goes and runs. And I guess he's starting to run with another one of our neighbors. So the other day, two of them took off running in their shorts and their, shoes and running stuff. And Tyler looked at me and goes, what are they doing? That's it.
Oh my Lord, man. We're a funny species, like me and Casey talk about it all the time. Like it's so funny how like we like look at animals and we're like, oh my God, isn't that cute how they do that? And then we just do shit. That's so weird. Like, like how do you ever just like, when we go on vacation, like we always have a balcony and then there's the beach out there. We go to the same place every year. And there's the beach and you just look out there and you're just like, people just gather at the water's edge and just get in there, get back out, and lay there for a second or whatever. Like, other animals are probably watching us going, man, isn't that freaking adorable? How these fuckers, they just all gravitate to the water, and then they get in there, and they frolic around a little bit, jump right back out, just go lay there on the sand, like a fucking turtle,
That is kind of bizarre. I never thought of that.
Yeah, it really is funny just to think about like how we all do the thing. And then, certain times of the year we all just gather in these little clusters.
Yeah.
At like Christmas is like everybody gets in their own little clusters and shit,
You go to the mountains and strap some sticks onto your feet and just speed down the hill. Like, there's got to be a deer sitting there going, what the crap are they doing?
100%. Wow. That's a good one, right? We just take turns going up the hill and sliding down like penguins, and it really is funny if you think about it. Like our behavior is not all that different from, just whatever the hell. Anyway, we forgot to take a break. Y'all listen to this. We'll be right back with more Rockstar Dad Show and Jason Harrell. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. Coming up here shortly, Jason Harrell from my country band, the Jaret Ray. It's not the Jaret Reddick band. They voted. We kept it at just Jaret Reddick, by the way. I was like, do y'all want to like be called something, like the Yinglings or some shit, like Jaret Reddick and the darn tootin' dudes? And they were like,
with like Jaret Reddick and the dudes that play instruments behind him.
Yeah, Jaret Reddick and men would have been good. That's what Tyler Wiseman used to call Bowling for Soup, Daddy and Men, which was freaking adorable.
Mia's turning into quite the big BFS fan now.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the other day she was talking about how she was going to tell everyone that she got to be on stage with us.
Okay.
And then when we were hanging out with Anik's sister's family the other day, she was telling them how, her favorite band is, and pointing at me, this guy here, the band that he's in.
My favorite band. Hey, you guys know this guy over here. What you guys seen what this guy's been up to lately?
He's a character, man.
That's awesome. Oh my God. That one is it's so funny. The juxtaposition of your two children, like Tyler was always pretty shy and he's like you. He's like, he kind of gets his words in or whatever. Actually, you know what? When he comes out of his shell, he's a talker, right?
It takes him a while to warm up and get comfortable. And then when he does, he gets going and he's really funny, but there's no filter. There's no reservation.
And she's kind of like not met a stranger since she's been like 3, right? Like she just turns it right on.
Yeah. There's been a couple of situations here and there where it's like, hey, Mia, do this. And she just is like shy and you're like, what's happening? That's not you. And then most of the time she just walks into the place and owns it.
Yeah. She is definitely a character and it's fun to watch. She has this, I think we talked about Johnny Donut on the show before, but she performs, but it's so funny, when she finishes everything, it's always like, make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave a review. Wait, is that what she says?
Yeah. Like, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you. Like she blows a kiss.
Love you, and it's so funny that they're, it's like we talk about, Casey brought this up to me a couple of years ago, and it's actually really funny. Like, how we would hold a telephone back in the day, we would like extend our pinky and our thumb so it looked like a telephone. And now if a kid is pretending to be on the phone, it's like they're just holding a square brick.
That's really interesting. I've never thought of that, and you're exactly right.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. We went and visited Rob and Jackie and Pete. Rob from Bowling for Soup and his lovely wife Jackie, and Peter Parker, their 10-month-old little boy. Can't believe he's 10 months. But we went and visited, and so we took him a Chatterphone, which is the Fisher-Price little googly-eyed toy. You pull it, and then it's a phone, and you dial it or whatever. And it's, I have it tattooed on my arm, so like it's kind of like one of those things where we get that for babies every once in a while. And so we got that for him, and he loved it, and he played with it. But it was just like, there's no way he knows this is a fucking phone. Like
he's gonna grow up and be like, that thing that I used to play with when I was a kid that had the handle and like the numbers on it? He's gonna have no idea.
Yeah. You just like turned the thing for literally no reason. Like they're just these numbers. And but yeah, it's so crazy about stuff like that. It's like, how quickly things change. But I feel like just in their generation, it's just been exclamated. It's like the day that I have this Jimmy Neutron shadow box in here that I made when that movie came out. And I took like all the press clippings and I took the soundtrack. And when I went to the movie, they had Jimmy Neutron popcorn boxes. So I like cut one of those out and it's in there. And I went and got some of the toys. But in it, I put the CD to the soundtrack. And my son, when he was like 6, was just like looking at it because he wanted to play with the toys, obviously. And he was just like, "What's that?" And he like pointed to the CD. I mean, even his brother and sister know what a CD is, but that he has zero experience with that.
Well, that's like Tyler. He's 12 now, but whenever he was probably like 4, I don't know. Whenever we had the TV on like the guide channel, he would walk up to the TV and try to scroll the TV.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. What's interesting about that is that like how that has become almost like this. They're born and they just automatically know how to do that now. Like like a kid, you can hand them a phone and they just but you can hand an old person a phone and they know nothing. Like no, they don't know what the fuck to do.
So that's confusing. What I was going to say is about the kid being able to do it. I was going to say like, is that because technology's gotten to the point where it's so intuitive, right? I mean, because used to you had to like log in and go to a different place and pull up this program and use a mouse and like everything was just difficult. And now it's just open it, hit it, scroll it. It's real point and shoot kind of.
But you're right. Now that's something I never thought of. Like for me, I guess I've always thought that it was like, okay, kids, this is just intuition. It's this is part of evolution. Like children come out of the womb knowing how to scroll a fucking iPad because they do. It is amazing what a 2-year-old can do on an iPad. It's unbelievable, really.
Sure.
And then, but what you're saying actually is probably more accurate. The technology is probably just catching up with what we inherently want to do when we look at that screen anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like
the
I
older
want to
generation
move
is
that.
either learned how to do it the hard way, and so the easy way is confusing,
Right?
Or it's just overwhelming that everything, because you can look at an iPad and you can do email or go to Yahoo or not Yahoo, Amazon, or like there's too much stuff on this one thing.
Yeah.
Where to us it's just so amazingly simple.
Yeah, but you're right though. It's like for us, like to scroll down, for example. Like you would go over to the little arrow in the corner and you would click down, 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 or up, 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 and there was really no, like that whole scrolling thing would have made total sense, but we really just didn't have it,
There's some point just a little bit older than you and I where there's a complete disconnect on technology though. Yeah. A few years ago, I was teaching a technology class in our, brokerage office, our KW office. Yeah. And there's people that are just like 5 years older than me that could not understand just how to do simple browsing stuff. Right. Yeah. So I'd be like, hey, go to this website. And they'd be like, okay. And they would go to Google and then Google that website. I'm like, oh, you don't have to do that. Just go to this website.
Right. Interesting. Listener, I will point out that I had no idea that he taught classes. That is just more of Gary not telling anybody anything ever. I had no fucking idea you did shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
But it just, fucking just every once in a while, just throw me something. You know what I did this week? I taught a class on browsers. To a bunch of people drinking vodka out of Sonic cups at a realty office.
Well, I mean, I always talk about how whenever COVID happened and I became Tyler's teacher, that's when I discovered that I really didn't ever want to be a teacher. But really, it was whenever I was teaching older people about technology, and I was like, no, I'm not a teacher.
It's like a bunch of people on that commercial becoming their parents.
Yeah.
Just like, what's this? What is this? What do you mean go to the website? Like, where do I click to do that? Like, I don't understand. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, plenty of time to talk to my good friend and bandmate, Jason Harrell. Quite a tale of how he got to be in Jaret Reddick and the band. And, also, he's a Rockstar dad, and we're going to have some fun. Y'all hang out and listen to this. We will be right back. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. Don't forget, you can listen to us on Adobe Radio every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and again at 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays. Now, to get there, you go to the website.
Now, you go to Google first, or what? How's that work?
Nope, you just type in adobe.net. And I think that's it. I'm pretty sure that's it. Or just Google it. Either way. But we are a free podcast. Every single Wednesday, you can listen to this show wherever you listen to podcasts. So make sure, as Johnny Donut says, hit that like and subscribe button. And our guest this week is Jason Harrell. And it's a pretty funny story, Gary. Hi, Jason. How are you, buddy?
Doing good. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. Jason,
I think it's funny you guys are talking about teaching adult classes and stuff, and I actually do that fairly regularly with people that I work with.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. Could you are you an IT guy or like just in that world?
I am a operations manager for a transportation broker. We do non-emergency medical transportation, but it's like tech enabled, we call ourselves, and so all of our new classes, I have to teach them how to use our software and how to use call taking software and all kinds of stuff that I have to help them with.
I wonder if that's like a musician. Like, I wonder if musicians just can do all that shit really well, because
I think so. Yeah.
Our friend Jaret Adloff is like high up at AT&T. Not a sponsor of this show, by the way, but we would welcome the conversation. High up in AT&T, I believe, and that's what he does. Is he teaches people shit, and he's kind of like you. He plays all the instruments and all that stuff. Jason was following me on Instagram and just sent me a random message one day, Gary, and it just said, "Hey, if you ever need a fiddle player, I'm down." And I just went, "Oh, well, what are you doing August 5th?" And he was like, "Are you serious?" And that's how he got in the band.
Yeah, that's it. That's the story.
I was just like, "Yeah, man, okay, that sounds great. Hey, we're going to do this rehearsal, so come on down to Dallas on this day, and we're going to rehearse, and I'll get you a hotel." And then finally I was just like, you know what? We've texted enough. You can just stay at my house.
Like, we're friends now. You just come to my house.
That like goes to show. It's like the Wayne Gretzky quote: "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." Right?
Yeah. It was, and what's funny though is Jason has become, such an instrumental person in this band, literally, because he started out playing guitar and violin. We call it fiddle in country, Gary. But he started out playing fiddle, and he played a little guitar and then mandolin. And then one day I was just like, man, it'd be cool if we could figure out how to do the banjo part in the song Royal Family. And so he just went and got a banjo and taught himself to play the fucking banjo. And now he just plays all of the fun instruments.
Well, he's already good at teaching other people, so now he's teaching himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've always done. But he says, "I got this banjotar thing," and I was like, that feels
right.
Feels like I would get made fun of.
Yeah, that's right. I have a banjotar that is what it is it's a, for those of you who don't know how a banjo works, it's not strung like a guitar. It's got like long strings and short strings, and and they're out of order, and it's just a whole mess. So this thing that I have is strung like a guitar, tuned like a guitar. It's just a banjo, so it sounds like a banjo. But it weighs about 1,000 pounds.
That's the main difference between a banjo-tar and a real banjo is the banjo-tar is made of concrete.
Right. But yeah, he goes, I don't know if I really want to walk into some honky tonk with that thing. Like, I don't know. I think people will make fun of me and us, And I'm like, you know what? That's a good point. We definitely don't want to go in there like well, anybody can do this. Here's how we're going to cheat. But yeah, we've been having a lot of fun, and you guys can check out live videos of Jason and I. Jason and I just did a show, an acoustic duo thing in Waco last week, and I'm on Jaret Reddick on YouTube. I put some videos up, and it was a lot of fun. So Jason, tell us a little bit. One of the things that I really didn't get to know about you early on, because your audition for the band was so incredibly short. It is about your family. Tell us about your kids.
I got 2 kids. I got Madison and Mason. Madison is going to be 13 on March 12th, but she's been 16 for about 4 years now.
Right. Yep. That's how it works.
So, but Mason is 11. And yeah, they're I don't know, they're rotten. Mason just got straight A's for the first time ever. So
Nice.
we're like it's actually a pretty emotional thing that Mason, because my wife sent me a picture. She went to the awards thing, and he's standing there with his best friend, and they got like award, what do you call them, honor roll things.
Yeah.
And Mason like barely passed 5th grade because he
Wow.
missed so much time from school and just
Yeah.
had so many challenges that he barely got through, and now he's straight A's.
Yeah. I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, when he says that Mason missed time from school, so Mason is a cancer survivor, and
Right.
I believe has a pretty big test coming up, right? Where it's kind of
Yeah.
the one where he becomes cancer free.
So he was diagnosed originally in 2017. He was 5 years old. And man, the whole story of figuring that out is just figuring out what was going on is so crazy. Anybody listening, I would just encourage you, if your kids are behaving or having symptoms of things that you just can't explain, and your doctors are like, well, it's probably nothing, don't listen
Right.
to them. Keep
Right.
pushing, and find out.
What were the symptoms? I mean, what was it? Was it just like aches and pains that were weird and sort of causing behavior things, or what? I mean, what were these signs that you guys just refused to ignore?
So he has what's called Langerhans cell histiocytosis, and it goes by LCH because it's too long to say, I guess. But anyway, it's a rare form of cancer. It's kind of a blood disease. There are a lot of or some diseases that kind of act like cancers in some way and act like other kinds of like autoimmune diseases and things like that in other ways, and they just like right in the middle and hard to really pinpoint. This one is more commonly nowadays considered a cancer. But what happened was it attacked the pituitary stalk, and it prevents the delivery of certain hormones. And your body has to have something called an ADH is the hormone. Anyway, it tells your kidneys when to release fluid and when not to, like when to retain it. And he doesn't have that hormone. So any type of liquid that he's got, he just pees it all out. So the symptoms were he was already, not at the point where he shouldn't be peeing on himself, and he was having accidents all the time.
Right.
And on top of that, he was drinking like a gallon of water a day, and he was a tiny little skinny little 5-year-old. So we went to the doctor. The doctor was like, this seems like behavior things. He's probably just drinking too much, which I understand. But anyway,
Right. Hi-oh.
but yeah, but no, the doctor was just like, he thought it was a behavior thing, and we went back a couple of times, and finally he's like, okay, well, I'll book you a specialist or whatever with. And I told the doctor, I was like, okay, I'll look at this as a behavior type thing and talk to his psychiatrist because he's got all kinds of other issues that he's had too. But I need you to refer me to see somebody, a specialist about this.
Mm-hmm.
Man, and those are terrible times. But anyway, he was diagnosed with it. Went through a year of chemo. Rang the bell, which they all get to do, especially the kids. Rang the bell, and we had video of them. They shot silly string and stuff all over him.
Mm-hmm.
Had a great time. Went through scans for a year, and then a year later, the scans said that he needed to go back into treatment. Went back into it for a year. I think the next time they didn't ring the bell. The next time when he was done, I think it was 3 months later, that next scan said, oh no, he needs to go back and do it again. So this last one that he just completed in August, which is weird because it was in August when he finished it, but we still haven't quite gotten that clear message yet because the scans. Anyway, he completed it in August. This past one was like the worst one yet because they had to switch to like the harshest kind of chemo to make sure that they knocked it out. The doctors are all like convinced at this point that it's going to be fine. But we've been through this, so we're all like anxious about it. But yeah, so like I think it's the 30th of this month he's got that scan, and fingers crossed.
Wow. Goodness gracious. It's so much, and it's so much as a parent. I'm sure that there's probably some, from your oldest too, there's probably a bit of sort of feeling like, like there's probably like a neglected sort of situation there because all of your attention goes there. Did you guys have to really focus on that as far as like making her realize, or is it something you caught later, or is that even a factor?
No, I mean, it's something we were aware of, but honestly, it's hard, even if you know that it's a possible thing that it's going to happen. It's because just so much attention has to be dedicated to, to Mason, because Mason, especially this last round of year of treatment, man, he went through so much, because he's got behavior issues that we don't know for sure are related. He's got like severe ADHD. He's got a like emotional disorder that I think it's unspecified emotional disorder they call it. But like in addition to all the cancer treatment, at the beginning about this time last year, he really started having some psychological type problems and just like how do I describe it? Like he was acting out in ways that were like, it sounds wild to say it, but like homicidal and suicidal behavior, just like and hallucinations and things like that. And it was just all kinds of stuff. He had been on certain kinds of medication. We think that might have contributed to it, but he ended up going to the mental health unit for a week at that point. And he was 10 at the time. So from that point on, and that was like at the end of January last year, from that point on, every time he had to go back into treatment just to try to make it to ease the burden on his, his emotionally and his psychologically, and also just the treatment itself, they put him in the hospital every week when he went to treatment. So Meredith and I were having to swap off. I was the one spending the night there.
Right.
I'm spending most of the time there because she has a really hard time with throw up.
Oh wow! Now that's a real phobia, by the way. My daughter has that, and my wife's best friend have that, and like, that's really weird. Now hold on, I don't mean to interrupt this, but I got to talk about the throw up thing. Yeah. Is that even with your kids? Like she even had a really?
Oh my gosh, dude! I remember back when Madison was still really little, like maybe 2. She got sick in the car one time. We pulled into the grocery store parking lot, and Madison got sick and threw up, and Meredith was getting her out of the seat when she did it, and she just backed up and froze, and Madison's throwing up. I had to jump out and run around the car and get Madison out so that she wasn't. But yeah, it's just She's always
Oh
had that.
my.
Like I've been with Meredith. We've been married. We'll be married 15 years this year, and I have never seen her throw up.
Wow.
I've known her for 17 years. She has never thrown up in that entire time.
Well, this also explains something, Gary. You gotta you know where I'm going, probably, Jason, right? We did a van trip, and
Oh
we
yeah.
we rented a van, and quite frankly, this thing probably needed to have its shocks tested. It was a very, very bumpy ride, but it was also during that really, really crazy windy 3 days that we had a few months ago. Like it was like the wind was blowing us off the road, so it was like we were in a boat, and we're going down the road, and Jason just basically turned white, and it because they were in the far back, and I'm like, man, we got to get him up to the front seat or whatever. And she was doing everything she could do to keep you from throwing up, like giving you Dramamine and coaching you and like, eat this and whatever, because she did not want to see him vomit.
Yeah, I kind of have like a tendency to get motion sickness as well. And I was back there in the back, and that like you said, like a boat, like a sailboat or something. And it
Yeah.
was just like whipping back and forth. And anyway, yeah.
It made him he was getting a little bit woozy. All right, so
Travel with barf bags from now on.
so back to so Mason's thing with again having to go into the hospital each time, and then so that's obviously a lot of stress on you guys as a couple. It's a stress on as I said, the kids and the whole family, and just, but also your work and all of that. I mean, man, that's a lot, dude. I mean, it's
Yeah.
and it sounds like you were going through all this during COVID too. So what was that like?
Oh yeah. Gosh, I'm trying to remember the actual years of it, but for the most of 2020 anyway, which I refer to as COVID, I guess. I don't know. But for the most of that year, I think that year he was mostly not in treatment, and we were worried about it. Like, what if we find out that he's still got it? Because the thing
Right.
with his scans is that what they've always told us up until this last time, actually, they've always told us is like the scans that we see, you may not know if it's actually active disease or scar tissue, because he's got it in his lungs and his pituitary stalk. But COVID was a respiratory illness, and I panicked. I freaked out about it, about the whole being around, and actually towards the end of the year, it did come back. Now I remember, because I really panicked. I really freaked out, and I was like, everybody stay the hell away from us,
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You got to lock down, And
Yeah.
so, did they go back to school right away, like when the schools opened, or did you guys do something different? Because, I think.
Mason stayed home for a while.
Got it.
Um,
Yeah.
he stayed home. I think it was that. So they were all virtual for that year, and then
Right.
or for that second half of that year, or whatever.
Yep.
And then I think Mason stayed home for most of at the end of at the beginning of the next year too, till he was cleared. I mean, till he finished treatment, because that was the main concern with Mason being around kids with. I mean, also it being a respirator, we didn't know what the risks were, but also he was under going through chemo, which made his immune system, like, knocked his immune system down as well. So he really wouldn't have anything to fight if he had gotten it. So
We're going to give you the website in the show notes, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about his fundraiser that Mason has coming up, that he's doing a run for the Central Texas Ultimate Hike, I believe it is called.
Yeah.
And he's going to get out there and do some stuff.
do some stuff. Yeah.
Do some stuff to raise some money. But Mason has long, luxurious hair. Did he not
does.
lose his hair during COVID? I mean, I'm sorry, during chemo?
He did not. And it's interesting, because I think he really probably has two reasons for growing out his hair, but one of them in particular, he has said for a long time now, he wanted to grow his hair out to a length where they would accept it as a donation to make wigs for
Wow.
kids who actually do lose their hair.
Right.
So He hasn't
Jesus
done it
Christ.
yet. I think it's probably about long enough. It's really long right now, but
It is really long. And you guys were talking about it at the show the other day. There was a question about, and I believe Meredith asked him, like, are you gonna cut it? And I think he was like, yeah, I don't know. No, probably not yet,
yeah,
kind of
not
thing.
yet.
And probably becomes a bit of a security blanket too. But I mean, there's a cool aspect to it too, that he didn't lose his hair during chemo, and he's been able to grow it so insanely long. And plus, it's like this golden blonde color, that
If we could just get him to brush it regularly,
right? Yeah,
like it gets so tangled.
It's a little Axl Rosy,
Yeah.
It's a little Axl
I'm
Rosy.
jealous.
He's such a sweet boy, and it sucks that he's had to go through that. I mean, how I wonder this. You hear a lot of times with people who have sick kids that, their kids' attitude and that sort of drives the parents a lot of times and keeps you guys positive and stuff. Was that the case here? I mean, because again, getting poked and prodded is never fun, or was it something where you guys had to constantly be coming up with, hey, okay, one more time, and
It was difficult. I mean, yeah, getting him through it was very difficult. It honestly, having him go in the hospital, the purpose of it was to make it simpler or smoother for him, and it was, because for the most part, he was actually able to sleep through a lot of the stuff because they did it at night. That was the sort of the benefit. But
oh wow,
man, that kid, he's just got he's just got so much. I mean, people say it all the time that kids are resilient, but
Yeah.
like there was a moment, God, when we were found out he was going to have to go back through it. I think it was the second time, and I was talking to him up in his room and trying to, just kind of talk to him about how, because I was devastated. We were all devastated. I was
I'm
so
sure, man.
sad, and
Yeah.
I was just trying to talk to him about how he was feeling, and he, he tells me he wishes I wasn't sad, and it's like, like that's.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, unfortunately, I think a lot of it became so normal for him. It was just
Yeah.
hard for us, and it's normal for him in some ways.
How do you guys
Yeah.
break up the roles or handle this situation as a family? Meaning he's the sick one. He's the one going through the treatments. He's taking the brunt of all this, but it's hugely emotionally stressful on you and your wife and your daughter. And I'm sure everyone else has issues going through all this. I mean, do y'all divide and conquer? Is someone the supporter, someone the leader? Is it just everyone does what they have to do in a reactionary type of way of what needs to be done at the time?
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that we definitely split up, like the like the stuff that involves throw up, as I mentioned. But we had help we've had some help from family. My mom would come, especially during treatment weeks, and a lot of times would stay here with Madison. And like I said, I would stay in the hospital. Luckily, Meredith's job at the time was very flexible with her. My job was pretty flexible. I work from home, so I can do a lot of the stuff that I need to, even from the hospital room if I have to, or at Jaret's house as it will be next week. But,
Right.
but it's just it. My wife sometimes will say, Meredith will say sometimes something like how we, kind of like how much bad luck we've had, and there's a lot of the flip side of that though too, that allowed us to be able to get through this stuff with honestly with minimal financial impact, because medical issues will devastate people sometimes.
Yeah.
Devastate their entire income, their savings, everything. And we've even through COVID, honestly, I lost my job for a while, but with savings and what we were able to, I mean, Meredith still kept her job throughout that time. So
Yeah.
we've been lucky in a lot of ways.
And it also probably has brought, I mean, I watch you two and I think you guys are probably as close as any married couple I've ever known. And it's, I love when she's around because, you guys just give each other shit. And by the way, Gary, Meredith is also his tech.
That's
She
correct.
has installed the pickups in both the mandolin and the banjo.
That's
True
right.
story. It's
right.
well, Jason, I know
I
you got
told
to
her
get.
I told her she ought to take it up as a side job, actually.
Jason, I know you got to get back to work, and I just appreciate you coming on and sharing this. And I hate that we didn't talk more about Madison, so you'll have to come back and we'll talk teenage girl together because I'm
gosh.
I'm hip to that, man. I
Yeah.
survived it. Mine is 20 now, and she's just a freaking adult, and it's awesome, guys.
Yeah.
In the show notes, and we're also going to put this out on our social media. Team Mason for the Cure Search Ultimate Hike. They're trying to raise $5,000, and then they're going to get out there and they're going to. What are you guys doing? Y'all are hiking. You're
It's a
basically
hike.
hiking you're hiking
It
a
is.
marathon.
Yeah, it's 26 whatever it is miles.
Yeah.
And it's that. So the organization actually, all of their funds go towards pediatric cancer research, which I think is really important. The research part of it. That's mostly what it's for. So.
Right. And the show is going to make a donation right now, actually, to
my
the page. And so I will get that done right now, actually.
Thank you, Jaret.
Jason, you, man, we just love you. And, it's funny. I am so lucky, Gary, because, obviously Bowling for Soup is such a family and we're all best friends. And then I start this other band and we're just all already clicking and close and stuff. And it's just so I am very, very lucky with the musicians that I have surrounded myself with. And man, I'm gonna make myself cry. I feel so very lucky to have you guys in my life, and Jason, such a pleasure to be able to be around you and your family and to play music with you. And we're going to try to help raise some more money for him. But dude, please do come back. We didn't even talk about like your BFS fandom. We didn't talk about, your buddy Justin. We didn't talk about, there's so much more we can hit next time.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
we appreciate you. And guys, thanks for listening to the Rockstar Dad Show. And don't forget, as Johnny Donut says, please hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you guys next time. Y'all be good.
This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that some rockstar dads who started a show. Until the next episode.